Hello and welcome to the canola workshop. We certainly want to thank the committee for putting this together, and certainly for you and your time to participate today. My name is Jim Johnson. I'm the president of Star Specialty Seed. We're a very small company that has a very strong interest in some of the specialty crops. Canola is the one in particular. I've spent about 3 decades working on canola. I've worked with a lot of different companies over the years, but really love this crop, and I do think it has significant potential for your area as well as across the northern part of the U.S. So we started the company with some vision, had a group of investors. We built a small crushing plant back in northern Minnesota, and unfortunately for our group, that didn't work out, but the plant is still up and operating well. And their CHS bought that plant, and they're doing extremely well. So with that, I'll dive right in and share with a couple of the varieties that we have to offer. First off is Star 402 spring variety. This is about the 6th year that we've had Star 402 out. It's been a strong performer among the top candidates each year. It's been entered in the trials. I'd consider it medium in maturity and plant height, and very consistent. One of the reasons we selected the variety was because of its oil content. Of course, my ties, I was one of the founding members that built that plant in northern Minnesota, and we picked that variety based on oil content. So not that they're paying for oil premiums anymore. That was a kind of a fad that came and went here a few years back. But suffice to say, if you do plant 402 and deliver it to your local crusher there, they'll be very happy, and it'll definitely be amongst one of the highest ones in the industry. So we also think 402 offers a lot of value to your canola growers. We recognize that canola is expensive, and we're doing our best, given that we're quite small. We don't have a lot of extra staff around. We're just trying to do what we can to get canola, good varieties out there, and make them work for you. The next variety I'm going to talk about is Starflex. We just introduced this one last year. It is a TrueFlex variety. For those of you that don't know what TrueFlex is, it's kind of the next generation Roundup. I really think ever since Roundup was launched, one of the kind of the weaknesses of that system is that when we talk about glyphosate tolerance or field tolerance to glyphosate, the original trait was a little bit what I would consider to be on the weak side. If you look at this photo kind of in the middle of the in the middle of this slide, you can kind of see on the left there, that's just, call it Roundup Ready 1 or Genuity Roundup Ready canola. And then look at TrueFlex on the right. As we've seen this trait over the last, say, 4 years, even in trials, the field tolerance to glyphosate is just absolutely exceptional. So it opens up that window. You can, for some of those harder to control weeds, we could put all the way up to 44 ounces of Roundup all the way through first flower. So that's really going to be a nice option for you guys. Decent, very good shatter on this variety. It's not pod shatter, but I would consider it to be still very good, and certainly well within range that will give you some direct harvest options there. It has multiple sources of genetic blackleg resistance, which I think is a strong plus. Not saying that that's something you're going to need right now, but wherever we see canola grown, especially where it's growing where there's decreasing crop rotation and growing too many crops in a cycle, we see blackleg on the increase. So we love to see that we're bringing in multiple sources now as we've gone across the prairies. There's still some areas that have some problems there. So think the variety is well suited for your area, and we have good supply and very good quality, 96 plus germ on that. So I think we can help you there. Just a bit on the trials. Jim Davis and the University of Idaho puts out nice trials every year. I know they put a lot of work and effort in it. We certainly appreciate that. We've been a participant in these trials for a long time, and the track record 402 has done quite well. You can look at multi-year data, and you're going to see it kind of right around that top third of the entries each of those years. So I'd call it very consistent and proven and stable yield performance. Starflex also did quite well. Anything in that top third, I think, deserves, it has some merit to be considered as a top candidate for you to consider. We did test it in Montana as well. And so if that's something of interest, I didn't prepare that for the slide today, but we did enter several of those trials for the first time this year. So I'm just going to share a little bit on winter canola. It's not really the season for winter canola, but we've got 2 different winter canola varieties and have spent quite a bit of time looking at germplasm and trying to figure out what's going to work. Originally, the winter hardiness just wasn't suitable, and I think that's really come along here in the last few years. 930, we just added that one, let's see, 3 years ago, and that's probably one of the best winter hardiness scores that I've come across on winter canola. And so I think it can work. Again, it's got the Roundup Ready trait, so something for you to consider. Let's look at one more. Star 915W, been around a little longer. Again, decent winter hardiness, but probably a little bit of a notch down from 930. So once in a while we see some pretty good performance on that one too. It does have the surge, so that's SU plus Roundup in the same variety. So that's popular for some of those areas that have a little bit longer residual where they've applied sulfonylurea herbicides to, say, your wheat crops. And so if that's a consideration, that could be a strong candidate there. Don't want to spend a lot of time on a lot more varieties. I'm just gonna have one more slide here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the future of what we think is going to happen for 2020-21. Want to show you one biological here. Over the years, we've really looked for a lot of different ways to increase canola yields. Certainly split applying nitrogen, different tweaks on different micronutrients, different fertilizer combinations. Looked at a lot of biologicals, and there's getting to be quite a few out there. This particular one, Yield Plus, comes from a company called Excite Bio. They're out of Manitoba. And what I really like about this one is it solubilizes phosphate. Of course, a phosphate's a very, very large macronutrient for canola, and phosphate's responsible for getting that crop off to a fast start. And certainly when we see differences in pH, if you've got really super low pHs or high pHs, that can really be tough to get the solubility of phosphate the way you need it. And so that's what this particular growth promoting rhizobacteria does. It can be applied in furrow, or it can be applied over the top post emergence. And we've seen excellent results when it's put in the furrow. In fact, we're seeing that as kind of a standard protocol now when we're singulating and planting canola with planters. And so that may not apply quite as much to your area, but it can easily be put on. I like to get it on before the ground cover is too great. So in other words, get it on relatively early where there's still some ground showing, and we've seen a lot of 200-pound plus yields there. Finally, just a little outlook for what we see. We're very bullish on canola for the season. Certainly, you've seen the price reflected in that. Soybeans have also taken off, but this canola is kind of interesting because it's an oil crop. We saw that initially coming out of the Black Sea region where the sunflower crop was down a little bit this year, oil content down. So one of the oils that was swapped out was canola oil, and certainly it's still in demand. I think that's going to be the case. And as our dollar continues to weaken, look for canola because it'd be in Canadian dollars. That's going to be relatively strong. So we're pretty bullish on the outlook, and certainly is just an early cool season crop. If you haven't looked at canola yet, you might as well start small, but start looking, because I do believe in the long-term outlook for canola. With that, you can visit us at www.starspecialtyseed.com, or you can call me directly, 701-361-8958. Again, thanks for your attention and enjoy the rest of the conference.